You ever wonder how Amazon just knows what you want to buy next? Or how Netflix seems to read your mind and recommends the perfect show? Well, the answer lies in this powerful, kind of hidden process that's basically running our digital world behind the scenes. It's this secret engine called ETL.
All right, so to really get why ETL is such a big deal, we got to start with a huge problem that pretty much every modern company is dealing with right now. And that problem is just pure data chaos.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Data is just pouring in from everywhere, right? You've got customer databases, website APIs, server logs, you name it. It's a total flood of information. But here's the kicker. Having a ton of data isn't the same thing as having useful information. And that right there, that's the core issue. All this super valuable data, it's trapped in all these separate, disconnected systems. We call them data silos. It's kind of like having critical information locked away in 1,000 different messy rooms. Good luck trying to see the big picture when everything's scattered like that. So, how in the world do you clean up all those messy rooms and actually bring all that information together? Well, that's exactly where our organizing engine, ETL, comes into play.
Okay, so at its heart, ETL is pretty simple. It stands for extract, transform, and load. It's just a systematic way to grab all that scattered raw data from all over the place and move it into one single organized system where you can finally do something useful with it.
Let's break that down a bit. So first up is extract. You're literally just grabbing the raw data from all those different sources. Then comes the transform step, and honestly, this is where the real magic happens. This is where you clean it up, you fix all the weird inconsistencies, you get everything into a standard format, maybe even enrich it with other info, and finally, step 3 is load. You take all that polished, beautiful, useful data and load it into a central system like a data warehouse. Now it's ready for action.
But the process itself is always evolving. For the longest time, you transformed the data before you loaded it. But now, with these incredibly powerful cloud data warehouses, think Snowflake or BigQuery, a whole new pattern is taking over, ELT. You extract, then you load the raw data first, and then you transform it right inside the warehouse. And let me tell you, this is a total game changer. Why? Because it gives you incredible speed and flexibility. Analysts can get their hands on raw data almost immediately instead of waiting around.
Okay, so we've got the steps down, but what does this journey actually look like for the data? Let's take a walk through the anatomy of a typical data pipeline.
It all kicks off with the sources, right? The databases, APIs, all those raw log files. That data gets pulled into what's called a staging area. Think of it like a temporary waiting room before the main event. From there, it moves into the transformation engine to get all cleaned up and organized. Once it's good to go, it's loaded into the final warehouse, which becomes the single source of truth for the whole company. And then finally, we get to the consumption layer. This is the fun part. This is where business intelligence tools build dashboards and machine learning models find all the cool patterns, turning all that hard work into actual business value.
Now, of course, you can't build these super sophisticated pipelines with just your bare hands. It takes a whole suite of specialized tools. Welcome to the Data Engineer's Toolkit.
You see, it's really a whole stack of different technologies working together. For the ingestion part, just getting the data in the door, engineers might use something like Kafka for streaming data or Fivetran for connecting to apps. For the heavy lifting, the transformation, you've got powerhouses like Apache Spark or dbt. Then, all that processed data gets stored in one of the cloud giants like Snowflake or Google BigQuery. And the most important part? Making sure it all runs perfectly in the right order at the right time. That's where orchestration tools like Apache Airflow come in. They're basically the conductor of the whole data orchestra.
There's this quote that I think just hits the nail on the head. It says that these pipelines aren't just technical scripts. They're the nervous system of data-driven companies, and that's so true. They're not just code, they're this vital, living system that lets a company actually think, react, and make smart decisions based on what the data is telling them.
Okay, this all sounds cool and technical, but let's get to the most important question, right? What's the real-world impact? How does all this plumbing actually generate revenue? Well, for that, look no further than one of the biggest companies on the planet, Amazon. Their famous recommendation engine, the one that feels like it's reading your mind, it's an absolute masterclass in what powerful ETL can do.
They have gotten so ridiculously good at this that it drives an absolutely mind-blowing number. 35%.
Yep, you heard that right. Over a third of Amazon's total revenue comes directly from that recommendation system.
And the only reason that's possible is because they have these insane ETL pipelines constantly working, extracting your browsing habits, your purchase history, transforming all of it, and loading it up to power those suggestions in near real time. It's incredible.
And hey, it's not just Amazon. You've got Walmart, which processes an insane 2.5 petabytes of data every single hour for sales reporting. You've got Target, using ETL to predict what you're going to buy so they can restock the shelves. And, of course, Netflix, analyzing everything you watch in real time to suggest your next binge.
So as we start to rack this up, it's pretty clear, right? Even though ETL is mostly working behind the scenes, it is absolutely fundamental to how our modern world operates.
At the end of the day, ETL is the foundation. It's the essential backbone that makes everything else possible. You simply can't have good analytics, you can't have sharp business intelligence, and you for sure can't have powerful machine learning if you don't have clean, reliable, and accessible data to begin with. And that really just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We've seen how ETL is the engine powering the biggest business decisions today. So the real question for tomorrow is this. As AI gets more and more advanced, how is this fundamental process, this engine of extracting, transforming, and loading data, going to shape its future?